In the kingdom of Velmora, love was not left to chance. It was bound by magic. Every royal was born with a mark, hidden beneath the skin, silent through childhood, waiting for the moment fate revealed itself. When they touched the one they were destined to love, the mark would awaken, glowing with a light that could not be denied. For generations, this had been law, certainty, truth. And on the night of his coronation, Prince Alaric was expected to prove it. The palace stood in brilliance that evening, illuminated by gold and firelight. Music carried through the grand halls and voices rose in celebration. Nobles gathered from every province, their presence a quiet reminder that this was not merely a ceremony, but a moment of legacy. All eyes were on him, not only as the future king, but as a man about to meet his fate. But Alaric moved through the crowd with practiced composure. He greeted dignitaries, acknowledged alliances, and wore the expression expected of him. But beneath it all, there was distance, a quiet detachment he had never spoken of. Because for all the kingdom's faith in destiny, he had never truly believed in it. Then, without warning, everything changed. A brief touch, so slight it could have been dismissed as nothing, a passing moment in a crowded hall. But it wasn't. The instant their skin met, a surge of heat tore through him, sharp, immediate, undeniable. His breath caught as the mark beneath his wrist came alive, not with warmth, not with light, but with fire. Alaric froze. His gaze dropped to his hand, where the symbol now burned beneath his skin, brighter than it had ever been meant to shine. Wrong. Everything about it felt wrong. And then he turned and saw her. She stood apart from the crowd, untouched by the grandeur around her. No jewels adorned her, no colors marked her as noble or guest. She existed in quiet contrast to everything the palace represented. And yet, she was the only thing he could see. Her eyes met his, pale, silver, unmoving. There was no confusion in them, no surprise, only a strange, unsettling recognition. For a single, suspended moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then the pain came. It struck without mercy. Deep, violent, consuming. His chest tightened as though something inside him had turned against its own rhythm. The heat in his veins twisted into something darker, something lethal. His vision blurred, sound fractured. The strength left his body before he could fight it. He tried to speak, tried to reach for something, anything, but his body failed him. And he fell. The grand hall dissolved into chaos. Voices rose at alarm. Guards rushed forward. Nobles recoiled in fear. Orders were shouted. The word poison echoed through the room like a verdict already passed. But none of it mattered. Because as the darkness closed in, Alaric forced himself to look one last time. She was gone. By the time he awoke, the celebration had ended. The brilliance of the palace had faded into the quiet stillness of the royal chambers. Candlelight replaced the fire of the hall. The air was thick with the scent of herbs and healing. And yet, he was alive. That alone defied reason. The healers spoke in uncertainty. They named the force that struck him as something ancient, something fatal, a curse that should not have spared him. And they asked him what he remembered. Alaric answered without hesitation. He remembered her. The stillness in her eyes, the unnatural burn of the mark. The moment everything shifted. He should have demanded answers, should have ordered the council to act, should have treated her as a threat. But he didn't. because one truth refused to leave him. His mark had awakened when she touched him, and yet he had survived. Far beyond the reach of the palace, the forest swallowed all traces of light. There, among shadow and silence, the girl did not stop running until the world behind her disappeared completely. Only then did she slow. Her breath was uneven. Her hands trembled. The memory of that single moment replayed in her mind with cruel clarity. She did not need confirmation. She had lived this truth too many times before. Her name was Nira, and anyone she touched died. That was a reason she stayed hidden. The reason she avoided every path that led to people. The reason she never allowed herself even the smallest mistake. But tonight, she had failed. She had felt the contact, seen the reaction, watched him fall. And so she ran, as she always did. But something lingered, a detail she could not ignore, because in that final moment, before she disappeared into the crowd, he had still been looking at her, alive. Back in the palace, before dawn had fully broken, Alaric rose from his bed. The healers protested. The council urged caution. The guards demanded control. He dismissed them all. He stood in silence for a long moment, his gaze fixed on the distant line where the forest met the edge of his kingdom. Then, without raising his voice, he gave a single command. "Find her." A pause followed. One of his advisors spoke carefully. "Alive, Your Highness?" Alaric's expression did not change. Alive. Because whatever she was, whatever power rested in her touch, whatever truth lay behind that impossible moment, he needed to see her again, and deep within the forest, Nira felt it, not as a sound, not as a voice, but as something inevitable. This was not over, and it would not end the way it was meant to. Alaric did not send soldiers into the forest. He went himself, alone, because this wasn't something he could trust to anyone else, not when he didn't even understand it himself. The deeper he walked, the quieter the world became. No voices, no music, no palace walls, just trees and silence. Then he felt it, that same strange pull, like something unseen was guiding him. "Don't come any closer." Her voice stopped him instantly. She stepped out from the shadows, same silver eyes, same stillness, same distance. Alaric didn't move back. "I've been looking for you." She gave a small, bitter laugh. "That was your first mistake." There was tension between them now. Not anger, not fear. Something deeper. Something neither of them could explain. "You touched me," he said, "and I'm still alive." She looked at him carefully, not like she was trying to understand something impossible. "That doesn't change what I am." "And what is that?" he asked. Her voice dropped. "A mistake." Silence stretched between them. The air felt heavy, like even the world around them was holding its breath. "Everyone I touch dies," she said. "No matter who they are. No matter how strong." Alaric didn't look away. But I didn't. That was the problem. For the first time, her calm expression broke, just a little. "You should have," she said quietly. But there was no anger in it, only confusion. Days passed, then more, and somehow, they kept finding each other, always in the same place, always with the same distance between them. They talked about nothing at first, small things, safe things, but slowly, that changed. Alaric stopped seeing her as a threat. Nira stopped seeing him as a mistake, and something dangerous began to grow. One night, the air felt different, heavy, unstable. Nira stepped back suddenly. "Don't come closer." But this time, her voice was different, not cold, afraid. Alaric noticed it immediately. "What's wrong?" She shook her head. "You need to leave." The ground beneath them trembled slightly. A faint crack of energy moved through the air. "It's getting stronger," she whispered. "What is?" he asked. She looked at him, and this time, there was no distance in her eyes, only truth. "The curse." The wind picked up around them, branches shifted, shadows stretched. "The more I feel," she said, her voice unsteady, "the worse it becomes." Alaric's expression didn't change. He stepped forward. "Stop!" She moved back instantly, panic rising now. "I mean it! Hey, Alaric!" The air snapped. A surge of invisible force pushed outward. "I don't want to hurt you!" But he didn't stop. "Then don't!" That answer broke something in her. "You don't understand," she said. "I wasn't born like this." The energy around them flared again. Stronger this time. "I was made this way," she continued, "raised for one purpose." Alaric slowed slightly, listening now. "To kill you." The forest went completely still. Neither of them moved. "That's why I exist," she said. "That's why they created me." The truth settled between them like something heavy, unavoidable. "You were never supposed to survive that night." Alaric looked at her, calm, steady. "But I did, and that changed everything, because now she wasn't just a weapon anymore, and he wasn't just a target. The space between them felt smaller now, and even though neither of them had moved, and for the first time, it wasn't fear that made her step back. It was something else, something much more dangerous, because if she got any closer, she might not be able to stop herself, and if he got any closer, he might not want to. This wasn't supposed to happen. But it was already too late, because somewhere between distance and silence, they had started to fall for each other, and neither of them knew how to stop it. Nira couldn't run anymore, not this time. The air around her was unstable now. Every breath felt heavier, every emotion made it worse, and Alaric was still standing there, still coming closer. "Stop," she said again, but her voice had lost its strength, because part of her didn't want him to stop. "You said you were made to kill me," he said, "but you didn't." The ground beneath them cracked slightly. A pulse of energy moved through the forest. "That doesn't mean I can't," she replied. Another step. Closer now. Too close. "Then why are you still holding back?" he asked. She didn't answer, because she didn't know. All she knew was this feeling, this pull, this impossible connection that made no sense. "I don't want to hurt you," she said quietly. Alaric nodded. "I know." And that was the problem, because he trusted her, even now. And the energy around them began to rise again, stronger than before, uncontrolled. Nira stepped back, panic building. "Leave, Alaric, please!" But he didn't move. Not this time. The wind surged, branches snapped, the ground trembled harder. "This is how it ends," she said, her voice breaking. "This is what I was made for." Alaric shook his head. "No." Another step forward. Now only a breath between them. "You're more than what they made you." The words hit her harder than anything else. For a moment, everything slowed. The fear, the noise, the chaos, all of it faded, and all she could see was him. "I can't control it," she whispered. "You don't have to." he said. Silence. Then slowly, he raised his hand. Her breath caught instantly. If you touch me, she said, you die. Alaric didn't pull back. Then I'll die knowing the truth. Her voice trembled. What truth? He looked directly into her eyes. That this isn't a curse. One more inch. That it's you. Her heart pounded, louder than the storm around them. Don't, she whispered, but she didn't move away. And that was all it took. Their fingers touched. The world exploded. Light burst through the forest. The ground shook violently. Energy surged in every direction. Naira gasped, expecting the same thing, the same ending, the same death. But it didn't come. Instead, something broke. Not him. The curse. The energy shattered like glass. The pressure vanished. The air went still. And for the first time in her life, nothing happened. No pain, no death, no destruction, just silence. Naira looked at her hand, still touching his, alive. Alaric smiled slightly. So I told you. But the moment didn't last, because far beyond the forest, something else had changed. The kingdom felt it. The magic shifted, the balance broke, and deep inside the palace, the truth was finally revealed. Naira was never meant to be just a weapon. She was a test, a final protection placed on the royal bloodline. Only someone who could face death and choose love anyway could break it. But breaking it came with a cost, because now the curse was gone, but so was the protection, and the kingdom was no longer safe. Back in the forest, Naira looked at him, still holding her hand. What happens now? She asked. Alaric didn't answer immediately, because for the first time, he didn't know. Not as a prince, not as a future king, just as someone who had chosen her, without understanding what it would cost. He finally spoke. Oh, now, a distant sound echoed through the trees. Not wind, not animals. Soldiers, coming fast. Alaric's expression changed slightly. They know. Naira's grip tightened just a little. Then this isn't over, she said. He looked at her. No, he replied quietly. It's just beginning. And somewhere far beyond the forest, something ancient finally woke up. And this time, it wasn't on their side.